Okay, I think we're back. Thank you guys for bearing with us while we had those technical difficulties. Popped offline for a quick second. Now we are back on with you guys. So we are back in the Action Lab here on a Sunday night. Hey, it wouldn't be a Sunday if we didn't have some technical difficulties. And Scotty, to be honest, we haven't had technical difficulties like this in a while. So, hey.
Yeah, between we've had a good run, but honestly, most viewers are probably pretty pleased that they I couldn't see anything for a while, so me not having to see your or my face was nice for me, and people not hearing you was probably pleasant for them. I still had to hear you, so it wasn't perfect for me.
It wasn't ideal for you all the way around, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there, but we're back. Hey, and as far as all my little side tests here go, looks like everything is buzzing and humming the way it should. So
I'll just know one more thing. Can you blow up your shared screen a little bit for me?
Oh yeah, let's do it. This
Sweet.
guy. There we go.
Yep.
Boom. All right, Scotty. So let's recap what we missed. You were still alive for all the work you're putting in over at Coors Field for the All-Star game. So
Yeah.
we questioned that on the last show, whether or not you would be still alive and kicking at this point. But everything is going well so far.
Everything for the most part. I mean, today was day 1 of 3 days. The light is for sure. It was sold out basically, and it was heavily sold. But to be honest, not everyone, because most people had to buy all 3 events. You had to buy the entire what we call strip in order to purchase for tomorrow and Tuesday being the Home Run Derby and All-Star game. So there were some no-shows today, but for everyone that came, you got a futures game, the All-Star minor league All-Star game, if you will, that went off without a hitch, and then we had a celebrity softball game that I tried to watch some of as I was working. It is amazing who agrees as a celebrity to come on these celebrity softball games having zero ability with softball whatsoever. It was crazy. DK Metcalf was the first guy to bat for the I guess the one of the teams, whatever. I'm like, oh, they're going big right off the bat. Like, he's going to just yank one way deep out of here. He struck out. He struck out. He absolutely struck out.
Oh, man. Yeah, I didn't catch any of this stuff. I will be at the Home Run Derby tomorrow night, so I'm excited about that. I ended up getting invited, so I will be at the Home Run Derby, which we're going to talk a little bit about, maybe make some predictions here in a little bit. But it's going to be, I think, a fun event. I think, this is obviously the last time I came to anything when it came to All-Star festivities. I missed out when the Nuggets hosted the All-Star game here in Denver. I didn't go to any events for that. But I did go to the first ever All-Star game when they came here and played in Coors Field for the first time ever. So that was really fun for me. So we'll see what this ends up being is from a excitement standpoint. I'm stoked for it. And I mean, I get to see Ohtani hit the ball a little bit, who I'm sure is the favorite in this, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, the kid. I mean, everywhere I look, I feel like he's like everywhere. He's like
I feel like he's like not talked about. Baseball doesn't always do the best about hyping their stars, and since he's gotten announced for the Home Run Derby, it's gotten better. But he should be talked about more. Like, what he's doing is like we haven't seen something like this literally since Babe Ruth. A guy who's a pitcher that can dominate on the pitching mound, and then he just rakes and is leading the majors in home runs, and he hits bombs. And I read an article hyping like how far he can hit BP, and like it'll be interesting. Hopefully he leaves the ballpark. I want to see one leave Coors Field. That's never happened before.
That would be insane. Who knows? We'll be probably we have this built in to we're going to be running some slot machines. We're going to be doing some gambling here, and we have that we got some picks dropped into some of that. So we're just going to go heavy on the slot machines tonight, fellas. We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot that happened in sports this weekend. This was a packed weekend, and it's still going. We have the NBA running as we speak, and we'll be talking about that. We'll have that live ticker going on as we're spinning some slots and talking about some of these other sports. But, man, between the UFC, we're going to spend a lot of time on the UFC talking about some of that. We're going to be talking about the Euro 2020 finale, which we've been covering the Euro since it began. So there was a big ending to that today, which had everyone on the edge of their seats until some things happened for one team that kind of derailed. So we're going to dive into all of that stuff and more. So hopefully you guys are just back with us. Again, we had some technical difficulties in the front, but we are here. We're ready to rock and roll. Just to get some little bits out of the way, we like to give a little shout out to everyone who followed while we were off stream. So that was Diacola, the CJ7, and who else was on this one? Yo26. Thank you guys all for following on Twitch. Again, we are live on various platforms, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you're on either one of those, make sure you hit that follow button and you're getting all those notifications of each and every time we go live. But let's dive in. Let's go into let's spin some slots, see what we come up with.
Let's hit that jackpot. Is that how this is gonna work?
Oh yeah, we're hitting the jackpot. And as you can tell in the upper right hand corner, right next to our loyal stream chat, we have the Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks updates as we're going here. 86 now to 76 with 2:37 left in the third. So that is a live score running for you in the upper right-hand corner to keep tabs on everything and anything going on in the NBA Finals. Now, we're not covering a lot of that within our slot machine here. So real quick, let's start out with that, Scotty. I mean, obviously the Milwaukee Bucks didn't really help themselves in Game 2. They went down 0-2 and are trying to make a run here at home in Milwaukee. And it seems like they're doing a good job so far. What are you seeing as far as this game goes? And any kind of just thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, overall, this is obviously a must-win for Milwaukee. Got to get on the board here. Can't afford to go down 3-0. That kind of goes without saying. Giannis has been unreal. I know they lost Game 2, but Giannis was incredible in Game 2. He's been ridiculous so far in this game. He's already got 29, 10 of 16, 9 of 12 from the line. So I don't know if someone like his brother is coming in disguised as him to take his free throws, but 9 of 12 from the line tonight. So getting a little better there. Almost 10 rebounds, 5 assists. So he's dominating. The rest of the guys are playing all right, but he's the key to this. The fact that he's come so quickly back from an injury that I thought he wasn't going to play again this season. That's what my doc guy said, but he's wrong every once in a while. Whoa, that's interesting. Sorry, I had some music in my background. Did you hear that?
I did not.
Oh,
we're good.
Okay. Anyway, so on the other end of things, as I get it back up, it looks like Booker's definitely struggling for Phoenix on the other end of things. So, but they're only down. I mean, this is an 11-point game. Phoenix can go on a run, hit some threes like they did in Game 2, where they were ridiculous from the 3-point line. And this game could go down to the wire too. This game is up in the air for sure. So. Be interesting to see what happens, but we'll keep checking it out for you guys.
And currently right now, I mean, both teams not shooting particularly well from 3. You got just after that shot there, the Bucks going 10 for 28 for 35% from the field, from behind the arc, and then you have 6 of 21 from the Phoenix side. Overall, as far as free throws go, uncharacteristic for Phoenix, 61.5%. They've only shot 13, though. They're 8 of 13. So, I mean, not bad there, but usually they shoot a little bit better. Again, we usually expect this to probably be swapped with the Milwaukee Bucks hitting 82% of theirs currently. So, little difference there. But right now, both teams shooting close to 50%, right along that line. So, this could go either way still, but the Bucks are still pulling away a little bit more here. And again, this is something we kind of talked about, is how the Bucks were going to respond, because they've started out a lot of their series pretty slow, where they haven't really exactly looked good in the first game or two. and all of a sudden, they end up winning these series and kind of making those adjustments. You heard Kendrick Perkins come out. I don't know if you heard the soundbite or if it was just a quote, but calling the Bucks the dumbest team or the worst coach team or something along those lines for going down 0-2 the way they have. And you know what? I mean, don't jump to conclusions there, Perk, because the Bucks have made adjustments in all of these series to come back and do some good things and make these competitive. So
I'm not a Perkins likes to do some hot takes pretty much all the time that I'm just kind of like, okay, no. The worst coach of all time, yet here they are in the NBA Finals. And it's not like they just have a roster where you're like, oh, you could have the worst coach ever and this team's making it. Now, granted, they got a little lucky, especially against Brooklyn with all the injuries that Brooklyn was facing. So when you talk about, they were 0-2 down in that series, but then Kyrie goes down. Harden comes back, but he's not quite himself. So tough to say that they would have pulled that out if Kyrie stays healthy. I don't think they would have, considering that went 7 games. But Devin Booker is playing, like he might as well be a replacement level player tonight. So it's almost like Devin Booker's hurt this game because he's the single-handedly the only guy really, really struggling from the field offensively. He's 3 of 14, 1 of 7 from 3. Just doesn't have it going tonight. I would have liked that in just one of the Nuggets games, maybe. I don't know, where he couldn't seem to miss. But Crowder's the only guy who can hit from 3. He's 4 of 5, but all of a sudden we got 17-point game. When I was talking when it was a 10-point game, when we started talking about this, I thought Phoenix could, certainly make a run real quick, but 17 is going to be a lot to ask for if that's where we head into the 4th. It looks like Milwaukee's in control in a game they absolutely have, so we very well may not have Suns in 4.
Sorry, Suns in 4 guy. It's not going to happen. It doesn't. If this trend keeps going the way it's going, and if this ends up getting tied up here in Milwaukee, if they end up trying to figure this team out, and I haven't been able to watch a lot of this. I was prepping for the show, and then I can't always keep track of every single little ebb and flow of the game, which I usually do after I try to get in on some of those notes and highlights. So I'll keep you up to date. Once we get our Wednesday show, maybe we have some more takeaways because these guys will be playing again here in a couple days as well. So we'll have more to talk about on our Wednesday show. But in the meantime, let's hit the slots. Scotty, I hope you're feeling lucky. We have a lot of stories to talk about, and let's run it. All right, we're starting out strong.
Coming out big at the top.
Coming out big. Now, earlier in the week, we talked a lot about the Euro 2020s and how we had some different thoughts about how this thing might play out. Now, this came out, I was traveling today, so I caught as much as I possibly could. You probably watched a little bit more of the game than I did, but I was able to catch towards the end. It ended up going into extra time, 1-1, and this ended up being a classic. So with the game tied, Italy and England went to penalty kicks to decide the Euro 2020 champion at the iconic Wembley Stadium in northwest London. Can you imagine, just England taking it down in Wembley? That would have been just insane. So in a 10 shootout, it was the Italians that prevailed 3-2 on penalties, spearheaded by a heroic performance by goalkeeper Donnarumma for Italy. And it was absolutely incredible the way this wrapped up. Now, this pushed Italy's unbeaten run to 34 consecutive matches, one shy of tying Brazil and Spain for the men's international record for consecutive unbeaten matches. So Italy, coming into this, they've been on a nice little roll, and they haven't really faltered much throughout any of this. And here's the thing, Scotty, we talked a lot about this too. So England missed 3 straight PKs in this final little stretch of the game. And I wonder how much that had to play. We talked a lot about when we were picking. You picked England, I picked Italy. And I picked Italy more so on the fact that this is a pressure cooker game for England to come out and perform at a high level, because honestly, I mean, they had so much pressure to win this. They haven't won this. It's been just in this big stage at Wembley. I just thought they had so much in their heads, and PKs are all about mind games, right? Like you overthinking shots, you're trying to, go one way, another way, trying to guess the keeper, this and that. But, when it comes to Italy, I felt like Italy had a lot less just bearing down on them. They've been kind of the team that's just one game at a time. We're feeling good. We're playing with house money at this point. Like, they've won this before back. This is the longest stretch of championships for Italy that there's been as far as like the gap between their last championship and this one of any international team. So they've done this before. They've been there. They've won it before. England still looking for that big Euro championship. So I thought that maybe came into play a little bit. And hey, they just struggled with these PKs. It was rough.
Yeah. Obviously England came out of the gates, got a goal on a phenomenal volley on a cross in the second minute. And all of a sudden they're up 1-0. They're going crazy. And you think this is amazing. I actually, listen, anytime you can get a goal, it's not going to play against you. But I think them scoring that early hurt them getting in a rhythm throughout the rest of the match. I feel like they, started obviously going on the defensive and couldn't really do maybe what they would normally do as far as, get more possession of the ball. Italy certainly had more possession, a lot more shots, and I think England actually only had one shot on goal. It was the goal that went in. That was their only shot on goal the whole game. So there weren't a ton of great opportunities back and forth on either end. But Italy looked like the better team for sure, as far as being a little more composed, having the ball a little more in the offensive third. But anyway, you get to the PKs, and you have England, who's up, makes their first two. Italy misses their second. So England's up 2-1 after the first two rounds of PKs. England, and this was talked about as it was happening. England subbed two guys in about a minute or two prior to the end of the match, in the end of extra time even. These were two guys that came on simply to be one of the penalty kick shooters. So they got no run in the game. They didn't play at all. And all of a sudden they have all the pressure in the world to make these penalty kicks, and they both missed. The first guy that came up and hesitated and then hit it off the post, and the fourth guy's shot got blocked. So Italy, Phoenix and Azzurri, they were the better team today. So it's good that they won in that sense. But you got to question, like, literally, you talk about in basketball how at the free throw line, you and your wife always talk about you have one job.
One job.
Well, there is nothing more true in any sport ever than two players that come on in the final minute of a soccer match simply to be PKs. You have one job at that point. I don't love it. I feel like if they're not, like, are they really, if they're not good enough to be in your starting 11, are they really your best options from, penalty kick wise? I didn't love the substitutions. I didn't love the idea of doing that. You're putting in guys that are just cold and haven't had any run on the field, and now all of a sudden a ton of pressure on them. And then it looked like after misses in 3 and 4, and Italy made both their third and fourth, that Italy just needed to make their fifth. And of course, and then they miss. The goalie for England stops it, and then it goes off the post after he deflects it. So they're alive, and they missed in penalty kick 5. And none of those 3 shots were terribly good shots at all. The one obviously off the post was sloppy, and then the other 2 were, not nearly placed well enough, and the goalie guessed the right direction, of course. So Italy won. They probably deserve to win. Happy for them. England continues the misery and the suffering of their history of just never been able to count on them when it fully matters to win any sort of international tournament, as they haven't done so. I think we talked on the last show since, was it in the 50s or maybe early 60s that they won the World Cup. Never won a Euro Cup in their history. So this would have been their first. Couldn't get it done, and here we are. I mean, overall, a great tournament. I watched more of this Euro Cup by far than any Euro Cup I've ever watched, and I loved it. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I wish this final game had a little more back and forth, a little more open, and a little more chances going both directions. It didn't quite feature that, so it was a little slow at times, but it came down to penalty kicks, so that's entertaining in itself for sure. So
I'm telling you, Scotty, we got to cover a lot more Euro soccer, man. We got to cover a lot more English Premier League. We got to have some fun with it, because I know I've seen a lot of other streams out there on the Twitch world where, you know, they're covering all the big EPL teams, and you know, a lot of people, especially in like the European side, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I mean, arguably EPL and a lot of these you know, leagues that play around, you know, each year are arguably better competition than what you see at even like the Euros and the World Cup, because, you know, you got teams that play consistently with each other. You got big names on all these different, you know, all these affiliates, these affiliated teams that have just these fan bases that go crazy. Now you have these like all-star, you know, teams that are put together from all these different clubs that just filter in all their best Italian players to the Italy team and English players to the England team. But, you know, those guys don't play with each other all the time. You know, they're obviously playing on their own club teams, and those are the teams that are, you know, powerhouses and have that rapport with each other and all that stuff. So I feel like we need to cover a little bit more of the EPL in the next annual calendar year. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean,
we got to get you a
this
team.
was exciting. I gotta get a team. So if people want to try and convince me of a team I should take in the chat that has a EPL team, let me know. I'm indecisive.
Who would you almost go with?
I don't even remember.
I think wasn't one of our
like Tottenham?
No, one of our listeners. Oh, Man U,
because they're one of our listeners. So I was like, I can jump on board there. But we haven't had him back, so I don't know if I can do that at this point. We haven't heard him back in the chat, so
at this point you're still a free agent, I think.
Oh
yeah. So you're still being recruited. I'm obviously.
I want to research and find the team that has, you know, been pretty solid, but a lot of suffering and a lot of pain and can't ever win the whole thing, and then just hop on that, and then with me. And I'll get Mahomes involved. Maybe he can be some ownership stake. We'll get that team on track.
And by the way, one side note too. I have an affiliation more towards Arsenal. Arsenal, obviously, because Stan Kroenke is the owner of the Nuggets, the Avalanche, the Rapids. He does a lot here in Colorado with some of the teams. So when I was initially getting into, you know, EPL, that was kind of like the go-to, because I was like, who else? Like, I don't really know I don't have connections with anything else. So Arsenal, and they're competitive. You know, they have a history and a long-lasting, you know, team that's been around for a while. So I've always gravitated towards them. But we got to get you somewhere, Scotty, so you can start jumping in and following these a little bit more along with me, because I need to as well. And we'll have some fun with it, man. We'll do some power rankings. We'll have some. There's a lot of football fans out there that want some of that English Premier League, Spanish League. You got the Italian League. You got all these different ones, man. We got to do it.
Well, we got the Gold Cup coming up though too. So the U.S. is about to take part in another international tournament, and this isn't one they're actually playing right now. So we haven't talked about it. They have their first game. They're against Haiti right now, and this usually in the Gold Cup it's referred to kind of as a B squad. So some of the A squad players, the top players on the roster, but you don't typically, at least for the U.S., have all your number one guys. Like, you know, Pulisic is not playing, and several other guys. I don't think Reyna's playing. But there's some, you know, Zardes is playing, I believe, and some other guys. Right now, U.S. up on Haiti in the 54th minute, 1-0. So another tournament that we can just sit here and watch. U.S. got an early goal in the 8th minute. You'd like to see them hopefully get a couple more here against the Haiti team that they should be able to handle. But in their little pool here, it's basically going to come down to them and Canada. Canada is going to win against, or either has won or is winning against Martinique. So U.S. should be able to, make the quarters no problem or wherever it heads. But yeah, so we got more international soccer. We got the Olympics coming up where we'll get some women's soccer, at least in the U.S. Realm of things. And then more international play with a lot of these teams playing, even though the U.S. didn't qualify, which is a bummer in that essence. But it is what it is.
P-Nix, how hyped are you about Italy? It sounds like you're hyped. Thank you for, loving on some Italy. Now you got to follow through in the World Cup. We need to see that same hype in the World Cup. So, yeah. Come back. Whoa. Italy's got a lot to live up to in the World Cup now, so we'll see how they end up performing. But by the way, in this tournament, we also had another update today, I believe, that Cristiano Ronaldo claimed his first European Championship Golden Boot as of the tournament concluding and everything else. So Cristiano Ronaldo takes us home first time, and he scored in every single group stage game for Portugal, bagging just 5 goals, 1 assist in 360 minutes played. So Portugal obviously went pretty far in this tournament as well, and
not that far. That's why it's crazy.
Well,
they made it. They were eliminated in the first in the round of 16, so they didn't even make the quarters. He played 4 games, and these teams in the finals played 7, and so for him to take the Golden Boot,
fair enough,
playing 3 fewer games is pretty impressive on his part. So
England captain Harry Kane with 4 goals had a chance to overtake Ronaldo ahead of the final against Italy. In the end, the latter claimed the award. So Cristiano Ronaldo taking it. But yeah, Lukaku for Belgium had 4 goals over 444 minutes played. Forsberg for Sweden, Emil Forsberg had 4 goals over 371 minutes played. Benzema from France, 4 goals over 349 minutes played. And then Czech Republic, so Patrick Schick.
Don't say it wrong.
404 minutes played, 5 goals over that span. USA in World Cup, although they probably won't contend until 2026 when it's here in the U.S. and Mexico and Canada. Okay.
I'm assuming that I don't even remember the question. Was it what is he most excited for?
Yeah, I think so. USA in the World Cup. So, yeah, man, we need World
There's
Cup.
nothing like that. I love watching the World Cup and the U.S. play, and the fact that they didn't make the last World Cup was so damn depressing. So we'll see. They haven't started, actually. Technically, they haven't qualified for next year's World Cup. It's a little different this year, and they'll start qualifying, I think, in a couple months here. And there should be no excuses with this roster and this talent. They absolutely should qualify, but they should have 4 years ago, and they didn't. So yeah, hopefully they'll make that, and yeah, they'll likely get a automatic berth in 2026, so we won't have to stress over the qualifying part, because when you're the host city or host country, you get to automatically qualify for the tournament. But in 2026, as P. Nixon says, hopefully that's when a lot of these players with more skill and talent and international experience than we've ever had on the U.S. team kind of hit their prime. Kind of hit their prime, and if everything plays right and they develop and we get some more pieces around it, the U.S. could honestly be a major player in that 2026 World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely.
5 years from now.
We're getting there, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're getting closer and closer. We got,
and by that time, I think our show will have, blown up significantly, where everyone will be following us to get that World Cup information.
I know. Well, I mean, we'll definitely blow past 50 followers, right? But hey, we can't do that unless you guys hit that follow button. So Hey, hit that follow button. We want more of you lab rats in here so we can have some fun with you in the next World Cup. Let's just start the train rolling now. Why not get those followers in? Hit that follow button so we could all have a good time in the World Cup and have a, nice little crew, nice little family to maybe watch and do some of these USA live streams. Man, I already have my USA theme built out based off of our last 4th of July. We just build off of that. We'll have some fun. We'll do some live commentary. We'll make it happen, man. We'll have some fun with it. So there you have it. Europe 2020 in the books. Italy, congratulations. Let's go on to our next. Let's spin the wheel again, man. I'm still feeling lucky.
Let's spin the slot.
Novak Djokovic winning his Grand Slam, making history. So, Scotty, we talked a little bit about this one, and this is, obviously he's the greatest, right? Novak Djokovic wins Wimbledon, ties Federer and Nadal with his 20th major title overall, and, he's just crushing. He won with a 6-7, 6-4, 6-4, 6-3 win over Matteo Berrettini in Sunday's Wimbledon final. Novak Djokovic won his 20th major, obviously tying those guys. Just after winning, he just was soaking it in on the court. Well deserved, because he is absolutely insane with what he's done over the course of his career. 20 Grand Slam titles. Joker has won 3 major titles during the 2021 season, and if he's able to capture the U.S. Open at the end of next month, he will become the first man to have won a calendar Grand Slam since Rod Laver accomplished the feat in 1969. Which
I remember that. That was wild. I was watching that.
Rod Laver, 1969. I was actually watching that live. Believe it or not. No, I wasn't.
Like you were there in person. Nice. Nice. It's a big year. Labor, and we landed on the moon. So I don't know if that year is topped ever.
I've seen all of it. So obviously, with Djokovic is insane. With his 6th Wimbledon title, he becomes the first tennis player, and we'll throw golfers into this, to pass $150 million in career prize money. He passes Roger Federer is the next on the list at $130 million. So he's $22 million past Roger Federer career winnings over that span. Tiger is the top golfer at $121 million. Everyone else is tennis players. So, man, Djokovic just crushing, man.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. I think we talked about it after he won the French Open, and people just love to hate this guy. And listen, I know his personality can rub some people the wrong way, and he's not the jovial all the time of Nadal and even Federer. Nadal has a lot of personality on the court. Federer is just your classic, clean, does everything right, says all the right things, does all the right things, has worked really hard, and was obviously an amazing tennis player. But for Djokovic, 34 years old, still dominating like this. He's won every major so far this year, with one to go, like you talked about in the U.S. Open. And if he wins that, which, I don't see any reason he won't.
Yeah.
There's no reason he won't on that hard court surface. We're talking about the single most Grand Slam winner in men's tennis history. So, truly phenomenal. He's not talked about enough, and I think that's because I don't know if the media also doesn't love him or something, or maybe he's not as relatable with the media, so they don't hype him as much, and he's just not talked about. You talked about his career earnings. While I'm sure his career earnings obviously are the most ever, I'm sure he's not getting the endorsement money that a Federer, or as you mentioned, a Tiger Woods certainly has got throughout his career. So, hats off to him. This was a big day out in England with the Euro final and the Wimbledon final. I saw a shot of good old Tom Cruise. He went to both events today, so he was in person at both events, just living the dream,
living life.
Maybe shooting for Mission Impossible 37. I'm not sure.
It wasn't one of those deep fake Tom Cruise. Have you seen those videos of the deep fake Tom Cruises, where it may be a TikTok trend or something, but Tom Cruise has there's this account that does deep fake, where if you don't know what deep fakes are, it's where they take like technology and change your face, and like you can say whatever you want and it looks like Tom Cruise is actually saying those things.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
It's kind of creepy, but there's an account dedicated to it where, they're doing the exact voice and laugh and everything else. It's kind of creepy, but it's kind of entertaining. I don't know how to feel about it, but I mean, Tom Cruise.
I don't think that was what happened today.
I think
Tommy Boy
real
was just
Tom Cruise.
Just took a private copter or jet or whatever from one to the other and hit up both. So good for him. He's living large. I wish I could partake in something like that, but yeah. But nonetheless, we got another Djokovic win under his belt, and now he's gonna go for the all four this year. Which I'd have to look the last time that's been done, but I feel like that's been a while, for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, yeah, no, it was the one we were just talking about. The one where it was with.
Oh, that's yeah, with Labor.
Yeah, Labor.
Yeah, in 1969. So that's literally you saying that was the first time I heard that. So people aren't talking about it. Granted, I was also busy today, so maybe it's talked about more than I realized.
It's been a busy weekend, man. It's been a fun weekend in sports.
So,
oh man, so much going on.
Yeah, and the Wimbledon is obviously I don't think anyone would argue that's the premier tennis tournament every year. That's if any tennis player I feel like could choose, hey, if I can win one tournament this year, what would I pick? I feel like it's got to be Wimbledon.
And who knew that two jokers would be crushing as much as they are over the course of this last year and their careers. Both from the same country. Both these guys, just between Jokic, Joker for the Nuggets, and Djokovic, Joker for the one of the, if not, no, you know what? He's the best that's ever going to be. When it goes down, he's the best tennis player men's side that we'll ever see.
I'm proud of you right now. If you had a drink tonight, I would make you drink, because that felt like forcing in Joker for no reason. That was like me if I was talking about Mahomes.
No, yeah, 100%.
I'd be like, all right, you got to drink, because you just forced him into this conversation.
I had to
you want to
force
mention
in
him.
Joker into the conversation because you got jokers everywhere. We got Batman fans, so we maybe catch the ear, maybe some Batman fans out there in the Action Lab universe here. So we have to throw Joker a little bit of a bone here. 75% of the way, man, to that Grand Slam. One more. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get that Grand Slam. We want to see history. We want to see you do some big things. So we can't wait. I'm going to be all like, here's the thing. This is like that, you have the Kentucky Derby. If you win the Derby, then you have to watch the Belmont. Then you have to watch the Preakness, right? This is the same thing. Like, you're set. You've won 3 of the 4. I can't wait. Like, if a guy wins 1 or 2 and then loses the second one or something, it's not as exciting. But now we all have something. Even if you're not a tennis person, you have to tune in to check it out, because stuff like this doesn't happen all the time. You got to appreciate greatness. Like, for all you guys out there, like, when you're watching something that you might not ever see again, take it in, absorb it. Because I made that mistake a lot when I was younger, because obviously you grew up more in the Jordan era than I did. I grew up.
Well, let's settle down. I'm only like 2 years older than you.
But you were able to get a couple more years under your belt, right? Of watching Jordan, and I love Jordan. He's insane. He's GOAT, right? So, but like, I also appreciate Kobe. I also just insane talent. I appreciate LeBron, insane talent. Now, obviously, you don't throw up in your mouth a little bit when I said LeBron.
Well, I did a little.
I saw that. Now, I still appreciate what he is and what he does for the NBA.
Of course.
You have to do the same, regardless of sports. You have to watch greatness, because you don't know when you're going to see this again. I don't know when I'm going to see another Kobe again. I don't know when I'm going to see another LeBron or Novak Djokovic again. And that's why this is important. So you guys out there, I got goosebumps talking about like stuff like this, because it's sports, man.
Does it feel smaller maybe in America? Well, but it doesn't relate, because I'm like, obviously when we were young, American men's tennis with Agassi and Sampras.
Yeah.
Obviously prior to that, you had McEnroe and whatnot. So, but growing up, I remember I was a huge Andre Agassi fan and Pete Sampras. I think you liked because apparently you like boring individuals. And so the guy that was at least interesting and had some flair in Agassi.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, like we haven't had really a U.S. men's tennis player compete and be one of the elite players in the world in a long time.
We had Blake
so
for a minute.
Maybe, yeah, no, I mean the one I'm thinking of is oh my gosh,
the crybaby white boy. What was his name?
I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Oh man,
I was a fan of his just because I wanted U.S. men's tennis to be.
Oh, I forget.
Good.
I forget his name too. He was kind of a pretty boy, but he was good. But then he kind of fell off fast. I think we're talking about the same person here.
I'm gonna find him somehow. I don't even know how to look for him.
Just look up.
But I'm gonna
best
find
men's
him.
U.S. tennis players. I mean, obviously you had McEnroe back in the day, and you had some of those guys who were just like always making headlines and things along those lines. But yeah. Anyways, while you're finding that, yeah. So just I'll take it. Just all you guys, even if you're not tennis fans, just enjoy. Andy Roddick. There we go. P-Nix.
Andy Roddick.
Andy Roddick. Thank you, P-Nix.
Yes.
That's why we have you guys in the Action Lab. Because we need your help sometimes. We just can't find these guys. Andy Roddick. I don't know how you guys all... Everyone has mixed emotions on how you feel about Andy Roddick, right? He's kind of like a hothead.
I had such higher hopes for him.
Yeah, yeah.
He had some ability, but I don't even know. Did he win a? I feel like he might have got a Wimbledon because his serve was a bigger part of his game. So, might have got one. I think he at least made a final. I'm gonna look it up.
P-Nix coming in strong with the tennis knowledge. Love it, P-Nix. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
See, you watch all those gentleman sports. You watch the football. You watch the tennis. P-Nix,
right,
you're just a gentleman all around. Love
Here
it.
we are. I was wrong. He made 3 finals in Wimbledon in 04, 05, and 09. Didn't win them. Did win the U.S. Open in 2003 for his only Grand Slam title. Made 4 semis in the Australian and 1 quarter in the French. French wasn't up his alley with the clay courts. So overall, just underachieved.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get it done. But he was at one point the number 1 player in the world. So I'll give him that. But since him, I'm almost certain U.S. has not had a men's number 1 player in the world at any point.
It's been rough. We got to get there. But
all right, spin that wheel.
Let's spin the
that
wheel.
slot.
Let's do it. Let's go and let's play. No whammy. Argentina wins Copa America. Back into football. So we had a big match today. It didn't have the headlines that the Euro 2020 had by far, but Lionel Messi and Argentina end up topping Brazil. Battled out in the storied Macarena in Rio de Janeiro against Neymar in Brazil in the Copa America final Saturday. Hey, gotta go old school with that, right? By the way, just side note, Bucks will win tonight. Looks like we have a 117-98 game with 120 left in the fourth. If you guys have been keeping tabs on that upper right-hand corner of our stream, under the stream chat. So looks like Milwaukee Bucks will end up getting back into this series and end up winning this one. We'll give you some highlights after this, some takeaways once we get through the end of this game here and once we get through a couple more of these topics on our Sunday slots. So, but back to this Copa America. So this is Argentina's 15th Copa title, tied with Uruguay for the most all time. It's also their first major title win since 1993. So, I mean, this has been a while. You have a lot of Argentinian fans out there, and Yeah, I mean, every year you feel like I see Argentina jerseys all over the place, and I feel like they haven't really performed up to the standards, especially with Lionel Messi. They really need him to be the center focal point, and they just need more around him, and they just end up falling short because they just go through him way too much as opposed to like getting more people involved and put it around him. So as far as this goes, I mean, this is a super star-studded matchup here between Neymar and Messi. Obviously, these guys, best in the world, play Euro in the Euro or the Spanish League, and these guys are just incredible. So to see them play here on the international stage for Copa America was a lot of fun. I caught some of this, not all of it, but with tonight's final, Messi equals Chile's Sergio Livingstone for most matches played in the Copa America tournament all time. So 34 Copa tournament career matches, which is, I mean, he's a stud when it comes to just. He's been around forever. Messi's been around for so long, right? So, yeah. Anything you wanted to take away here, from this matchup here in the Copa America?
I mean, first, this was an upset. I think Brazil was certainly the favorite
Brazil,
going
100%.
into this. But ultimately, just really, this is about Messi, right? Like one of the obviously two best players in the past decade in the sport, and to finally get the international success that he hasn't gotten to any point prior to this, as his career, he doesn't have a lot of tournaments left or a lot of things left to get. So seeing the emotion that he had after the final whistle in this 1-0, not a pretty game. It was pretty ugly going back and forth. Argentina was the better team in the first half. Second half, they kind of just like held on. There was a lot of gamesmanship. They slowed it down. They, delayed things. They took their, some of this silly nonsense you see in soccer that I wish would go away, and teams wouldn't do, but a reality of what it is. So happy for Messi, happy for Argentina to get that first win, and Brazil's won plenty. They'll be fine. It hurts to lose, I'm sure, for them from their vantage point, but at the same time, they've had a ton of international success. They're going to be fine. So it's a good story to get Messi a win here, and something that he hasn't been able. Pretty much the only thing left on his record that he hadn't achieved. Ton of individual things. Obviously, he's had a ton of success with Barcelona in club play. So the only thing missing was an international victory in a tournament, and he's got that now, and now they'll ride some momentum. I fully suspect now, if they would have been terrible in this tournament and things not gone well, I could have seen him being like, at one point he actually said he might be done with international play and not play for Argentina again. Of course, that was probably emotions talking after a tough loss years ago, but so I fully expect him to play in the World Cup next year, riding this momentum and heading into that. So that's good for the world of soccer and us viewers, because we get to watch Lionel Messi on the big stage again. And all these tournaments are just making me so excited for next year in the World Cup. So congrats to Argentina, and Messi's the storyline.
Yeah, this is his first major, like you mentioned, first major international trophy for him, first senior international trophy, and they were throwing him in the air after the game. His whole team just tossing him in the air. He was very gracious afterwards, going over to Neymar, giving him a big hug. Obviously, those guys really know each other well. Hey, he's one of the GOATs, right? He's up there. When you talk about
sure.
Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and these guys have been around for a while, and they continue, like, you feel like these guys are going to fall off at some point. Like, someday these guys aren't going to be that great. They're going to just fade into the sunset. No one's going to really remember them.
I'll say it right now, and people in the chat, let me know how your thoughts are, but I'll say right now, peak Messi, to me, I'd take peak Messi over peak Ronaldo. I would, any day.
Messi, he's got some game. I mean, Ronaldo's
a finisher.
He's
Ronaldo's
got
a
the place
finisher,
kicks.
fast, strong. Well, and he's just a finisher. He's the best finisher in the world as far as when he gets those opportunities forward, he puts them away. But he's not always the creator. He's the one who gets to the right spot and finishes the play. Whereas Messi's a creator. Messi's skill level, I don't think anyone would debate who's the more skillful player.
He's a
Messi's
wizard. He's a wizard.
Definitely the most skillful player in the world and has been. And for me and what I like to watch and my style of play, give me Messi.
Deb in chat. P Nix, Messi all day. Diacola in chat. I missed something. Why did Booker not play? He did actually play. I'm looking back at the box score here. He ended up playing.
Is that when I referenced earlier that he might as well have been replaced by somebody injured?
Probably
because of how bad he played.
Yeah, no, he didn't play well. He played 29 minutes, scored 10 points, and let's see, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Awful game. Chris Paul led the team with 19 points in 34 minutes, 9 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers for Chris Paul. Man, DeAndre Ayton had an average game as well, 18 points. Let's see, 9 rebounds, couple no blocks, no nothing on the defensive side, a couple steals there. Wasn't very good showing for the Phoenix Suns. As far as the Bucks go, Giannis showed out, 41 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. Drew Holiday coming in as the number 2 on that one, 21 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds in 40 minutes. And then Middleton had an average game with 18 points. So the Bucks end up winning this one 120-100. Dominating fashion from what it looks like in the box score. I'm going to go back and look at some of the highlights and takeaways from this game here in a little bit. But there you have it. Milwaukee getting a win, taking the series to a 2-1 deficit as opposed to going down 3-0 tonight, which is what they needed to do.
We got a series.
We have a series, and you know what? I think this might go a little bit longer than people think. Might go longer than I would have thought. I mean, Giannis, we thought he wasn't going to even be able to play with his injury, and he's coming back, playing 38 minutes, putting up 41 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. I mean, that's not a guy. You want to talk about playing tough? Whew. You know what? Giannis has earned a lot of kudos for me in the last week and a half. In how he's come back, and man, he's been putting this team like that's an MVP for me. That he's starting to be that MVP guy. He's trying to show those colors of.
I was gonna say, he's won 2 MVPs though, right?
No, yeah, 100%. But like, I've never really bought into that. Really, like, I've always been like, I've been skeptical of his all-around game a little bit. There's some things that he's got some holes in his game that maybe I've been harder on him than you have. That's for sure.
No, and I've mentioned him. Nick Wright talked about this, that people poke holes in a guy who's won 2 MVPs in Giannis and his game more than any other player out there. Like any other elite player.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I mean,
Jokic is the most poked holes.
They don't poke holes in Jokic's game. They more just don't give him the full respect he deserves. But they don't say he's like, he can't do this, he can't do that. Maybe defensively a little bit, but certainly not on the offensive end because he can do it all. But like every time Giannis gets brought up, they talk about what he can't do rather than what he can do at a maybe better than anyone else in the world. So it's super weird. He's a bad shooter. He's not consistent from 3. He's not consistent from the free throw line, but that's not his game. And he has an ability with his length and athleticism to not have to settle for those kind of shots. And like he's all right, doing like a post turnaround jumper from within, 10, 12 feet. He can hit that shot. And he hits a 3 from time to time. So it's not like it's like totally out of his game, but it's weird that people love to talk about and maybe it's just because they failed so much in the playoffs after having, best record after best record in the NBA regular season. But here we are. Yeah. He's in the NBA Finals, and balling out. Certainly, he played pretty decent in game 1, but balling out in games 2 and 3. So we'll see what happens moving into game 4. But right now, he's been the best player in this series.
I mean, honestly, and this might be a hot take, but for me personally, this is his coming out. Like, that's crazy to say for a 2-time MVP, like you mentioned. This could change, I mean, everything moving forward for him, because a guy, you saw what happened with his knee. People were saying he might not play again in these playoffs, and he's back a week later, and he's putting up what he's doing, and he's keeping his team in this series, getting him back in a win. I'm telling you, this might be the turning point for him to get even better, which could be scary. So I'm telling you, this might be it. Let's spin the wheel, though. Let's get back to it. We have a lot going on here, and let's Argentina. Congrats to them, but we got some more spinning to do. Oh man, don't even get me started on this one. Don't even get me started. No, all right. First of all, I want to know. So let's get you some backstory here. U.S. men's basketball has had a lot of questions over the last handful of years, right? Not underperforming and not being up to the standards of what we've always historically needed from USA basketball, or been spoiled by USA basketball. Now, U.S. men's basketball, and this is, again, just a tune-up. It's just an exhibition. So this past Saturday night, the Team USA basketball team, led by Kevin Durant, ended up losing to Nigeria 90-87 in an exhibition game. Now, this is the last time these two teams played was an 83-point margin win for Team USA in the 2012 Olympics. So Kevin Durant was part of those two teams. So there, I saw some Twitter memes talking about Kevin Durant has a 83-point win against Nigeria and a 3-point loss to Nigeria over his career as a Team USA basketball player. Now, Mike Brown, he's an established coach in the NBA, was the one that was coaching the Nigerian national team. And Nigerian national team, they're nothing to slouch at. They have 7 NBA players. So it's not like they're just like some bunch of scrubs that they just threw out there. But these guys competed hard, and I'm telling you, and maybe let's go into this first. For me, you know what? I'm not even saying my opinion first. I'm gonna throw it out there. Is this a big deal, or is this just something that's just you could throw by the wayside and not worry about? How big of a deal on a scale of 1 to 10? How big of an alarm are you sounding on this? 10 being, this is a big red flag. This is a nightmare situation. Red flag. 0 being, this is nothing. It's an exhibition. I have nothing to worry about because this is Team USA. They're solid. They never lose. They have a solid roster. They can compete. On a scale of 1 to 10, Scotty, where are you at with this exhibition game?
It's probably like a 4, so it's not high up there in my opinion. It's not nothing, because I think this roster has holes. I think their effort level in this game was probably, and I didn't see it. I don't know if it was even on TV or people watched.
I didn't even know it was going on, really.
Yeah, the exhibition, it probably wasn't televised. They probably thought they'd walk over just no big deal. But there's some holes on this roster. I think they're fine. Hey, Nigeria made 23s. 20 and 42 from 3. So, I mean, 23s in the game is... last time I checked, that's 60 of their 90 points. So a majority of their points came there. There's 3 guys I like a lot on the roster for the U.S. And after that, I have concerns. Like, obviously, Durant, Lillard, and Tatum. I like those 3 pieces. I think those pieces are gonna work well in the international stage. Obviously, Durant's proved it. Those three pieces are fine. After that, like our and our bigs like Bam Adebayo and Draymond Green. I don't love those guys as players in the international game. I don't like some of our other, like, we don't have a lot of creators, not a lot of point guards that are pass first. Like, and then you have two guards with like Zach LaVine and Bradley Beal. Like, those guys are kind of like the same guy to me. So why are they both on the roster? Like, and when they're not shooting well, like Bradley Beal didn't shoot well. He got 25 minutes. He scored 2 points in this game. LaVine got 21 minutes. He did put up 10 points. He was 4 of 8, so he was fine. But like Jeremy Grant got 17 minutes, 6 points. No one really was able to fully step up. I think there's a lot of holes on this roster. The token white guy, Kevin Love, only got 3 minutes, so it's hard to say what that token white guy can do, but we'll see if he gets more minutes.
Popovich was saying they need the most out of him. He's going to be the most demanded of on this roster. And this was a couple weeks ago when they were saying, clowning on the fact, we all talked about it. Kevin Love making this team. Like, what? What was Kevin Love doing playing on this team? And he's going to be demanded the most of anyone on this roster from Greg Popovich's standpoint. Like, I mean, I don't know. This is hard for me.
They're fine. Listen, they're fine, but this is not the U.S. roster of recent history that we're used to. This roster is worse, for sure.
Yeah. No,
but it's still the best roster in the games, and it's not close.
Well, here's the thing. When you're going, players aren't playing. Players aren't with the load management and with everything going on. Like, we're gone from the days of having like a Jordan and a Bird and a Pippen and a John Stockton and a Karl Malone and like all those guys on one team. Those days are gone, right? If that were the case, we would have LeBron James on this team. We would have Anthony Davis. We would have Lillard. Obviously, is already on there. We would have Steph Curry on this team. And it would be a blowout every single time. It would just be done. Those days are gone. We're never going to see those dream team style teams unless we start losing consistently on the international level year after year after year, Olympics after Olympics, FIBA championship after FIBA championship. Like, we're not going to get back to that until we start losing consistently and we get called out on the international level. But teams are catching up. Like, other players across the league are starting to play. I mean, Farouk Aminu's playing for this Nigeria team. Archua, it was a rookie, came in the NBA. He played for this team. He got the big block on Kevin Durant in this one. And there's a lot of players that are proud to play for their national teams, and there's a lot of NBA talent across the world that they're starting to catch up if the NBA is not going to put out their best teams. So from that standpoint, talent-wise, there's no team better than the NBA in the world, even on this national team, than this roster. Like, on paper, this is the best roster by far. It's not even a question.
Yeah, I'd like a little more playmaking, and I'd like a little more shooting, to be honest.
Effort's where this comes into play, where I don't think you get a lot of these guys that maybe you're just like, this is going to be a cakewalk over these teams, and they're not anything. I mean, there's NBA talent on this. Nigerian roster has 7 NBA players. So they're no longer scrubs like they used to be. They're starting to get better and better, and the world's catching up. So I'm not gonna say this is a complete like hit the red button, call in the reinforcements, this and that. I'll put this as a 5 on my scale, right in the middle. But this used to be a 2. I used to be like, oh, we lose this game. They're fine. They have all-stars coming in, this and that. But it's starting to get to the point where the world's catching up. So we're having this conversation in a couple years, 2 or 3 years, next Olympics, and we're starting to lose these games more consistently. That number's going to go up fast, I'm telling you. World's catching up.
I'm telling you, we don't have playmaking and we don't have shooting. And it's a problem. Yeah. It's a problem.
Let us know what you guys think.
It'd be nice to have a Steph Curry Or like I feel like a Clay Thompson would be like, yeah, I'll play, and that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Guys like that, like, but and then creators like if Chris Paul wasn't in the finals, maybe someone like that can just manage the ship and get the ball in the right hands and penetrate and get the right shots on offense. Because I don't feel like there's not a single guy you look at that's like, yeah, he's a pass first guy outside of like Draymond Green, and I'm like, all right, but he's not a threat to score. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't really care about Draymond Green, so I think he's just very overrated.
Let us know how you read into this. Let us know in the chat. Actually, put on your scale of 1 to 10. How worried are you about the Team USA basketball team going into the Olympics? Let us know on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being I'm 100% worried. This team is upset alert all over it, or 0, I'm not worried at all. Throw it in the chat. I would be curious to see what you guys think. If you guys kind of agree with us, if it's kind of no big deal, or if you think it's going to be a big thing. So let's spin the wheel, though. While we're waiting for those responses, let's get back into it, and let's roll the dice. Barkley bets big on himself? All right, so here's a weird story. It's not obviously this isn't like a big time story like we've been covering up until this point, but Charles Barkley competed in one of these tournaments this past weekend. I believe this was the American Century Championship, which is dedicated towards athletes, celebrities, right?
That's where Steph Curry is. We just talked about Steph. He's golfing and stuff.
So I mean, I saw your boy Mahomes take a drink.
No, I wanted to take a drink. You brought him up.
Okay,
Now it's free. It's free for me to talk about. Yeah, my boy Mahomes and Kelsey.
Oh, Kelsey was
nice
hammered at this thing. Did you see Kelsey hammered at this thing?
I think Mahomes was quietly hammered as well. Like, they get after it when they're together.
Kelsey was not quietly hammered.
They were they were in a grouping with Justin Timberlake. If I was at that tournament, I would just follow. Like, there's no other celebrities I need to see. Those are the 3 I would follow.
You're a JT
throughout this
guy.
tournament. I am a JT guy. I think JT's just a talented man. I'm sorry. I'm on Team NSYNC over Backstreet Boys because of JT.
Oh, he's a baller.
I feel like if JT and I met and talked for a little bit, we'd probably be best friends. But that's also Mahomes and Kelsey. So I should have been the 4th guy in this pairing. That's what the takeaway is. But anyway, let's get back to Barkley.
So Barkley ends up putting a wager. We're talking a lot about gambling and spinning slots, so this is only fitting that we include this. He bet ahead of this matchup $100,000 on himself that he would finish at least 70th place in this tournament or higher. He ended up finishing 76th place, so he missed it by 6 spots. And he ends up losing $100,000 of his own money that he bet on himself. Scotty.
What's crazy is he got the odds at 5-1, so he would have won $500K just for finishing in the top 70 of a tournament that I had. It had like 80 some golfers total. So it's not like he just had to be in the top half. He just had to be in the top 70 of, I think there was like 89 golfers. Or 86
the top 85% of the field or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a math guy. Whatever that ends up coming out to. But he ends up just melting down on this tournament and finishing 76. So he ends up losing. I mean, he has the money to lose. He gets paid a ton by inside the NBA, right? So, I mean, it's not like he's fine. But
he's a notorious gambler.
He is a notorious gambler, and he has fun with it, which I like about him. I like watching Charles. He's super entertaining to check out. But Scotty, would you ever bet that big on yourself to win a golf tournament or anything else in life where you're just like, you know what?
I would have done the same thing if I was him with the money he has, and all I had to do was finish in the top 70 at 5-1. I would have made that bet. I think I have a little bit better swing than Charles, but my game is a little bit in shambles right now, so I don't know. But I would have made the bet for sure. I would have done it.
You just wouldn't have told the wifey about it. But I mean, there's not that much pressure if you have to finish in the top, 85% of the field. Like,
just get it done. Just get it done. Like, don't blow up.
Put in
all you have to
practice
do.
swings.
They had this modified Stableford system. So like, he finished at -12, I believe. And the only time you would get minus points is if you had a double bogey or worse. And it's not worse, because once you're at double bogey, you just pick it up and it's -2 for that hole. Otherwise, a bogey is no points. A par is +1 point, and plus is good in this tournament, by the way. So it's a little different than most golf tournaments. He was -12, which is bad. So a par is +1, a birdie's +3. So there's a lot of opportunities to finish in the positive. He did not do so. He had too many double bogeys, or greater. Although who knows, because you pick it up, like I said at that point. So, sorry, Charles. I hope you hedged your bet on the last day before you went out there, because it wasn't looking good and it didn't finish good. So,
I mean, historically,
sorry, buddy.
Even if I was an external bettor on this one, I'd be like, all right, that's a pretty good percentage you have to finish. Even if you don't play super well, you still have a pretty good chance to finish in the top 70. I would have bet on him. I'm glad I'm glad I was in New Mexico over the weekend, where there's not online gambling via your telephone or mobile device, because I might have put a little bet on him too, and I'm glad I saved that money. Deb and chat, going back to our last topic, the Team USA, I think they will struggle. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised anymore at this Team USA team. I mean, again, the world is catching up, so 100% with you on there. But let's get back to it. Let's get back to this and roll through some of these final. What we got? All right, nice. We got the Home Run Derby coming up here on Monday, which I will be attending. I am super excited about it, and I can't wait to jump in on this. Now, going into this Home Run Derby, there's a lot of people who are just really excited this year. There's a lot of teams a lot of names that are really, really interesting here. So, headlined by the favorite at +300, you have Ohtani. How do you Shinoi Ohtani, I believe is how you say it.
Shohei
Ohtani, which he is like, he's kind of like the LeBron James currently, just like a freak that does everything of Major League Baseball. He does everything. I've seen videos of him playing just little side games in the dugout where he's dominating his teammates in like little side games of like balancing a baseball on the top of the little like base of this little deck or whatever. I'm just like, is this dude bad at anything? He's favored at +300. Now, the rest of the field here, Joey Gallo, Pete Alonso, Matt Olson, Salvador Perez, Juan Soto, our own Trevor Story here in Colorado, and Trey Mancini. Mancini. Now, Trevor Story, our hometown boy, +900. He's the second worst odds of this field as of right now. But if you're gonna bet on this field, Scotty, and this isn't official. This is just so we're not gonna get in trouble with all your bosses in the Major League Bet. This is just for fun. You're not putting money on this, obviously. But if you were to pick one to win without putting money on this, of these, who do you like the most to come away with the Home Run Derby championship here?
Listen, I mean, I want to break it down more. Like, I want to go.
Let's do it.
Or matchup by matchup, because so they're bracketed. So it's based off of how many home runs you've hit in this season. You're seeded. So Ohtani is actually the 1 seed. Well, he's number 1 in baseball, so he's the 1 seed. He faces off against Juan Soto, the 8. I think everyone in the world would appreciate it if even like Juan Soto would just throw the match. Like, we need Otani. The world needs Otani to at least make it to the second round. Hopefully, Otani shows out in that first round and does what everyone thinks he will do. But if he has like an average round for whatever reason, Juan Soto be a good person and just throw the match. Anyway, I'll take Otani there. In the 4-5 match of Salvador Perez from the my number 2 team, the Royals, versus the defending champ from 2019 and Pete Alonso from your New York Mets. So we got a little Royals Mets, both of our number 2 teams in baseball going at it. So
it's gonna be fun.
I'm sure the favorite in that, even though Perez is the 4 seed, Pete Alonso is defending champ. I'm going to take Salvi, though. I'm going to give my boy Salvi the nod. You don't often see catchers in the home run derby, so I'm excited. And he's got some flair to him. I think he'll take it seriously. Pete Alonso hasn't quite shown the pop that he had in prior years, at least, at the plate, but he's got a ton of power. So he should be the favorite in that matchup. But I'm going to take my boy from the Royals to represent and move on there. Then we move on to the other side, a 2-7 matchup of Joey Gallo versus Trevor Story. I'm rolling with my boy Trevor.
There we go.
Joey Gallo might have more natural power than he's probably in the top 5 of the league. Can just launch the ball. But Trevor Story, listen, I've seen a lot of BPs in Colorado, and there's no one on the Rockies that has more natural power than Trevor Story has. Even when Nolan was here, I was watching BP. It wasn't close. Trevor's power when he connects on the ball is far superior to, and he's had some of the longest home runs in baseball over the last few years. And a note in this one. So if you guys don't know about Colorado, we have what's called the humidor. So what that means is we put all the baseballs for all of our baseball games in a humidor, which adds moisture to the ball, which makes it at an even moisture level to everywhere else, because we're at a higher altitude, obviously, so the ball naturally would be drier and would travel further. But we put it in a humidor, which levels that out and makes it consistent with all the other ballparks as far as the moisture within the ball and the density of the ball. So they have announced and said publicly for this event, none of these balls will be humidor balls. So these balls are going to be launched. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a lot of fun. The 3-6 matchup, Matt Olson versus Trey Mancini. I think Matt Olson just has more raw power, but Trey Mancini's a nice story because he's coming off cancer last year. So I'm going to go Trey Mancini. So I got Otani versus Salvador Perez. I'm taking Otani. Trevor versus Mancini. I'm going Trevor. So Otani versus Trevor. I'm going to go with Otani. I think baseball needs Otani. If Otani just launches him and goes off, there's no better storyline for baseball. Listen, I'm going to be cheering for Trevor, but Otani's my number 2. I'm going to cheer for even over Salvi, because baseball needs star power like this, and they need a spectacle, and they need a storyline to get people interested. And Otani's the guy that can deliver that and can launch the ball to all areas of the ballpark. You're going to be there. I got family there. My brother's going to be there with a group, and he's going to be in home run territory. So I'm going to text him tomorrow, be careful, don't hurt yourself going for a home run. He's in the bleacher area, and I could see him just taking a tumble and hurting himself. It's going to be wild out there. So it'll be fun to watch. I hope ticketing wise it goes real smooth. Yeah, go ahead.
Where am I going to be? I'm not going to be.
You are not in home run territory.
Oh,
you are
no.
if they have a severely bad foul ball that it goes backwards. It has to go backwards to go to you.
If there's anyone that can hit a backwards bomb, it's Otani.
You have a really sweet view of the field from where your perspective is going to be great. But as far as balls headed your way, no, it's not gonna happen.
Hey, I'll take it though. I'll take it. It'll be fun. I can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun here. So you got Otani then, because one, it's good for baseball, and two, he's just a freak, right?
He is the best. In this tournament.
And you know what?
He's insane. He launched one the other night that was ridiculous. ridiculous.
He's just a different human being. Like, I'm jumping on the stock. I'm jumping on the stock early. So for me, he is like what our younger generation has jumped on with the AMC, the meme stocks, where you're just like jump on it quick because it's going to the moon. That's how I feel Ohtani is. And that's what I want. I need to jump on the Bitcoin, the AMC stock before it goes to the moon and say, hey, I got to make sure he's the guy that I picked for this home run derby because, again, he's been popping up on my radar quite a bit, and I'm just like, I got to jump on the bandwagon, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to pick him. If there's someone that I feel like could, I mean, obviously, I have two other guys that I'm really rooting for in Story and in Pete Alonso, obviously, because I love me some Pete Alonso for the New York Mets, right? And Trevor Story. Trevor Story's an empty one because even if he wins, he's still gone. It doesn't matter. He's not going to be here.
Could help the trade value, maybe.
It could help the trade value. So, maybe we do need him to win. So just win a home run derby. We can get a little bit more for you, and we'll be good. So those are my top three of this field, but I'm going Ohtani. I have to. Taking the chalk, and we'll go with it, man. Let's do it. Can't wait, though. Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited to be there, and I'm going to hopefully be able to jump out and witness some of it inside the ballpark, and things will go really smoothly ticketing-wise, and I won't get berated by angry people that can't get in the ballpark.
It'll be fine.
I inevitably, absolutely. That's okay.
We're saving the best for last, by the way. Ronald Acuna Jr. Is done for the year.
Yep.
So this is an unfortunate one. Now, Ronald Acuna, one of the premier athletes in the Major League Baseball, tore his ACL. It not a great situation here that you want with one of your all-star players, and it's just a rough go for Ronald Acuna. Hopefully he can come back strong, but Scotty, we're gonna be missing
Atlanta's having a rough season. So Ronald Acuna Jr., who was playing really, really well. Obviously, Atlanta's coming off being in the NL Championship Series last year and had the Dodgers on the brink of elimination and couldn't quite get it done. Atlanta's hovering around 500. Supposed to have the All-Star game this year. Got moved. Lost it due to some decisions that were made, right or wrong. We won't dive into that as far as laws and voting laws that it got passed in Atlanta. But and now to lose their superstar. I mean, I think if you're talking baseball, I think there's a clear top four young, and this doesn't include like a Mike Trout who's been around for a long time, but there are four young superstars in the game that like separate themselves from everyone else in the league, in my opinion, at this point. And Ronald Acuna Jr. is certainly one of those. You put him with Tatis Jr. For the Padres, Ohtani, who we've talked about, and then Vlad Guerrero Jr. for the Toronto Blue Jays. So those are like the four guys that like, and it's ironic that three of them are juniors, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr. Of course, their dads played in the league. Those are the four guys that like have huge star power as the young guys, the up and coming, just top players in this league moving forward. So to see one like Ronald Acuna Jr. go down with like, you don't see torn ACLs in baseball. Like that just doesn't happen.
Weird. I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, what are we talking about here? NBA, NFL, even, I mean, you don't really see it in the NHL as much, but yeah, I mean, baseball, like a non-contact sport.
I can't. Well, and usually ACL is like a non-contact injury.
True.
But like you just don't see a torn ACL. Like I don't remember a Rockies player in all my time following them ever tearing their ACL. They've done a lot of, like, there's way more injuries in baseball than I think there should be, because it's absurd how many injuries there are. But like a torn ACL just doesn't happen. So freak thing, he was running after a fly ball, didn't end well. So he's out. So it's unfortunate. You hate to see it, but the game will move on without a star, unfortunately. But he'll be back. He'll be fine. Like he's young. He's athletic. He's a stud. And Atlanta signed him to a ridiculous contract that he agreed to. But he's still only 23 years old. So he's got a lot of time ahead of him. He'll be back sometime next season. And I'm sure he'll roll. But
yeah,
it sucks to see.
Yeah, you wish a speedy recovery for him. I couldn't tell you, if you were to ask me who's the last Major League Baseball player to tear an ACL during a game, I literally, if you were to say, I'm going to, hold the gun to your head and you got to name somebody, I'd be like, see ya. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you the name. It's so rare for that to happen, it seems. And so that's what makes it that much worse to an all-star caliber player like that, like an elite talent. Oh, sucks, man.
Yep.
But, all right, we saved the best for last, in my opinion. We've covered a lot of topics tonight. Let's spin the wheel here. And I'm not even going to remove Ronald Acuna Jr. I just want this to land. So we get into these last couple, and it's anticlimactic for this to just spin and land on the one we want. So we're just going to roll it back. How many spins is it going to take, Scotty? How many spins is it going to take?
Hopefully one more.
If we were playing legitly,
I know.
We've lost 3 50-50s.
I think there's a glitch.
We've
at
lost
this point.
4 50-50s.
No, there's a glitch. We'll be here all day. Yeah.
There it is.
I was certain of a glitch. I was certain there was a glitch.
We have some UFC insanity, people. And honestly, this has been... So... I want to be honest with you guys. It's been a while since I've really just jumped into a good, solid UFC pay-per-view. And, oops, here. I'm don't mind me. I'm playing around with some things because I'm previewing something that's gonna be presented here in a quick second. But we have a big pay-per-view that took place last night, and that was the UFC 264 pay-per-view. Now, we had a big match with Dustin Poirier and the legend Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
I got you.
The legend Conor McGregor. Now, this was an interesting one, but before I dive into this, I want to fill you in, Scotty, because I was out of town. A couple of my family wanted to get the fights, so we ended up watching all the fights, all the card leading up to it, and this was the first time I watched a full card of UFC fights in a long time. And I want to say, this shit's gotten crazy now. I used to think that UFC was pretty entertaining. This has all of a sudden turned into... if you take the UFC and you take the WWE with all of the crazy things that go on the side and all the storylines and all the different things, you're starting to get something in the middle. Because I was going through this and post-match interviews for various fighters. They don't even answer the questions. They're just pimping off their Instagrams and talking just... they'll be asking questions and no one will actually answer these questions. It's just just random stuff, talking shit to people, doing different things. And I'm not going to lie, it was entertaining as shit. So, I want to dive in, before we dive into the Poirier and McGregor, because a lot of people have seen some of the aftermath of what's happening. And there's a lot to unpack there. But I want to dive into a couple of these undercards, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time, not a lot, just to talk about these, because we had some fights that were insane. So Sean O'Malley and Chris Mutino. I've never heard of these two guys in my life. Sean O'Malley, they both have the wildest hair in ever. But Sean O'Malley's the favorite here. 14-0 going into this. Chris Mutino took this fight on 11 days man, the storylines in these are insane. Took this fight on 11 days' notice. And this kid, Chris Matino, was like, Scotty, you've seen the Rocky movies, right?
At least the first 5, yeah.
So when you see Sylvester Stallone just like getting punched and not blocking and coming at you, punched, blocking, coming at you, Sean O'Malley connected on 85% of his shots. And O'Malley, he was just pounding away because like the other guy, Chris Matino, we were like, this guy's going to get crushed. Like, he lost the first 2 rounds getting pounded. But what made this fight insane was the fact that he kept coming like Rocky Balboa and just getting punched in the face, punched in the face, punched in the face. And he just kept coming, and it was like, I'm almost rooting for this kid. Like, you know he wasn't going to win the fight. So this drama came at the very end of this fight when Herb Dean, a veteran referee, called this fight after his guy taking shot after shot after shot, just keep coming at him, and just not blocking any of these shots. He's just taking them. Ends up calling this fight with 7 seconds left. Remember this, because we're going to talk about this when it comes to this last fight at the very end of the night.
7 or 27? I think it might have been 27.
Maybe 27 seconds. It was very, very end of this fight.
Okay.
Everybody, I was sitting on our couch rooting for this kid to somehow just like outlast this fight just to make it to the end, because the story wasn't going to be the favorite Sean O'Malley, who everybody was praising before this fight. The story was this kid, Chris Matino, who doesn't 9-5 overall in his UFC career, not a very strong fighter, making a name for himself, just taking a beat. No man should absorb as many hits as he took to his face.
As I'm looking, the total hits he took was 230.
It was ridiculous.
230. He connected on. He didn't even throw.
He did
230 punches or strikes. He threw 218 strikes total. He connected on 70 of those for 32%. Sean O'Malley, 230 of 318 for 72% strike hit ratio.
If you look at the box score of this, you're like, this is a boring fight. This was one of the most entertaining fights of the entire night, based off of the fact that what this kid, Chris Matino, was trying to do. I don't even know. He wasn't trying to win. He was just trying to like outlast this fight. And it was incredible. So, first of all, I want to give big props to Chris Matino. He's going to make a name for himself, and everybody after this fight was talking about him outside of this, on this entire fight card. So that's one.
So he's good at taking a punch.
He's good at taking a punch, and this was super entertaining, man. I'm not gonna lie. We were sitting there. I've never had so much fun watching a fight in the last few years. It was amazing. Now, Irene Adalana and Yana Katsinyaka, whatever.
Kamitsikaya.
So this was an okay fight. Now, Irene from Mexico ended up winning this fight. I thought it was a great fight. She crushed, man. She won by TKO in this one. Ended up, the Russian girl Yana was just bleeding out of her nose. It was a good fight, but it was great for Irene. She's coming up, man. She's strong. She's only lost to what's the girl from Colorado that beat Ronda Rousey? Made a big name for herself. That was I can't remember her name. If you guys can throw me in chat, help me out.
I'm going to be great at this one, but I will Google it. I'm pretty good at Google.
It was, yeah, throw it out there.
Holly Holmes.
She's lost to Holly Holmes, which Holly Holmes is like fallen off since that Ronda Rousey.
She's lost to some other people, though.
Yeah. She hasn't been great, but Irene's coming up, so keep an eye out for her. That was a great fight. All these fights, again, second TKO of the night. Then you get into the third fight of the night. So we're getting into the WWE stats here. So you had Greg Hardy. You know Greg Hardy, Scotty.
Oh, yeah.
Greg Hardy.
I saw this one. Well, I saw the highlight.
Yeah. Tei Tuivasa. Tuivasa. Now, I looked at this fight. I'm not familiar with either of these fighters as much, but I've seen a couple highlights leading up to this. Now, Greg Hardy, I've never really been a huge fan of, but he's a beast, man. He's a big dude.
Is anyone a fan of Greg Hardy?
Not really. He's had some issues with the law and some other things. So
domestic violence.
Yeah,
stuff.
not great stuff.
Pretty awful.
Not great stuff. So obviously, I was rooting for Tuivasa in this one. Tuivasa, by the way, is a guy. If you've never seen this guy, I was new to this guy. When he wins, he takes a beer and a boot or a shoe and pours a beer into it. My cousin, who I was watching the fight with, told me I needed to do this on the stream at some point, which I might do. You pour a beer into a boot or a shoe and you drink the beer from the shoe. Now, he challenged everybody to do this after the fight if he won, and he went down the line after he won this fight. I'll tell you in a minute how the fight, well, the specifics of it, but he ended up winning the fight. He goes down the line like he's the WWE, and he's getting boots from the fans and shoes from the fans, filling them with beer and drinking them. Some guy poured Poirier's hot sauce in one of them, and he was like, still going after it, this and that. I was like,
are these staged boots, or are these actual?
No, these are real boots and real shoes.
I know, but that people were wearing, or did they just bring an extra boot in?
People dress. These look like new shoes. Now people dress to impress these, so I wouldn't. You got to pay a lot of money, and people are dressing to impress with their top shoes, right? Their collection. So they looked new shoes, but they could still be people wearing.
But at the same time, so you're considering moving forward if he wins another fight, wearing a shoe, sweating the shit out of that, and then pouring beer in it, consuming it. Why?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. If you guys want me to do it on the show at some point, let me know.
I want you to do it. I think that's a great idea. I know why, because it's great.
Well, and we're gonna tag him because he challenged the world. He challenged everyone out there. So if we tag him in our Instagram or Twitter that we're doing this on a live stream, he might join the live stream.
Defined by we.
I.
What do you mean? Okay, thank you. That's what you mean.
Should we get Tai Tuivasa to join the live stream and do one with me?
Yes.
Guys, if you guys are in the chat, I want you to tweet out a clip of this show to Tai.
Hey, I will join if we get Tai on the show. I'll join.
All right. Hey, clip it if you can. Save that clip. We're gonna save this. If we can get Tai Tuivasa to drink out of a boot with us on the show, Scotty will do it with us, and we'll make it happen. It's going to be a blast. Okay.
I only sweat from my feet. I don't sweat anywhere else, but I sweat a lot in my shoe.
And here's the thing. Do we use a new shoe? Is there a stipulation where you have to use a used shoe from your collection, or can you buy a new shoe? Because I feel like that's cheating if you buy a new shoe, right?
I'm not going to buy a new shoe and then pour beer into it. That's stupid, too. So I'd rather use a new shoe. I'll get over the sweat that I'm drinking. I've done it before by accident, so.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's the goal, guys. That's the goal. Share this if you can with social media. I don't know if we're that big though, man. I don't know if our Action Lab rats can make a big move. I'll do what we can on our end. You guys, if you can help us out, help us out. Let's get him on the show so we can have some fun. Now, the co-main event of the evening was Gilbert Burns and Stephen Thompson. In my opinion, was the most boring fight of the night, which, I don't know. Gilbert still ended up winning this one. And, by the way, in chat, Colorado native won Tour de France. I'm not going to lie. I haven't kept tabs on the Tour de France, but appreciate the heads up there. And then I've seen your shoes, Chris. Oh my gosh. Yuck. Yeah, it's going to be... It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. We'll see what happens.
I am ironically in the market for some new shoes, so
there you go.
But I won't ruin them with beer. So it'll be old shoes.
So Gilbert Burns took on Stephen Thompson in this co-main event of the evening. Stephen Thompson was the heavy favorite, but Gilbert Burns, for some reason, when I was looking at the odds in this one, Gilbert Burns I would have put all my money on Gilbert Burns if I was able to bet it. Now, he was like the number one contender for the welterweight championship. So the winner was going to, jump up into that conversation. And he was actually not the favorite in this one. Stephen Thompson was the favorite. So I don't know. I like Gilbert Burns a lot based off of what I was reading about him leading up to this fight. Ended up winning in a decision, so it wasn't super exciting considering we've seen 3 TKOs up to this point. And then, yeah, it was a good fight. It wasn't great, but leading up to this, the big fight of the night was Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. Now, Scotty, I know you've probably seen some of the highlights. You've seen some of the interviews. You've seen some of the crazy things to come out of this. But this ended up winning in Dustin Poirier's favor by TKO based off of a stoppage of you don't need your Twitter doc to know that Conor McGregor just broke his leg.
Lower leg, ankle, something.
Right above the ankle. Now, going into this, and I want to get your opinion on, we're going to talk into legacy here in a second, and I want to get your thoughts. But just from the fight itself, Dustin Poirier came in with a game plan, his normal game plan that he always comes in with. He's a good striker. He's great on the ground. And he didn't really have to change much. Now, Conor McGregor came out in this fight, and it seemed like he was starting out and fighting in a manner that he never really has done in the past, right? He's a striker. A striker who comes out with leg kicks and comes out trying to get that rolling with, like, something that he's not familiar with and something that he is not his typical game plan that he's not comfortable with. It was a red flag for me right away, and it ended up being his downfall. Well, partly. So comes out with leg kicks. Now, part of this, Poirier called this out in the post-fight interview, where part of it was when Conor McGregor went in for one specific kick, and you see this in the replay, Poirier pointed to it saying, "You messed up. You just fractured something." Now, it's hard to say how true this was because he felt something give way in his leg. So what he's saying is Conor McGregor fractured his leg on that kick. So just a hairline fracture in the bone. And then later on when he went to go take a step back, it completely broke. So that was the precursor for the initial break, or for the final break of his leg, which ended up finishing the fight. But after this, the fight went on for a little bit longer. Conor McGregor again did something very uncharacteristic in this fight. He decided to go all in on a choke to try to get Dustin Poirier to tap out. Now, he got underneath his neck, but didn't exactly. He almost had it tightened in, and then he gave up his weight and went straight down to the ground and went all in at this point. Because here's the thing, Dustin Poirier is a better grappler. So if this doesn't work out, you're on your back against the grappler, and Conor McGregor is not going to be able to grapple with you. He's not that. You're not that guy, right? The memes. You're not that guy. So it ended up going the way that we just discussed. He got out of that chokehold, the guillotine, and it was a ground and pound from there on out. Conor McGregor was at that point in zero control of this fight, and he was losing badly. If this fight would have continued, he would have been done, regardless of the break. So, Dustin Poirier in this fight should have won. He was the better fighter. He's the better ranked contender, and it showed across the board before the break even happened. So then they get up again. You know what happens here. Conor McGregor goes for a kick, takes a step back. His leg gives way, cracks the bone, and he's done. And from that point, the shit talking started. Obviously, Poirier's not mincing words. He's upset with, how McGregor handled himself leading up to the fight with all the shit talk and all the little death threats, so to speak, and getting personal with the wife stuff. And then and even, McGregor on the ground saying your wife's in my DMs, still talking shit. Man, this one, again, we're getting into WWE status, from drama standpoint. But from that standpoint, Scotty, it was a wild one, man. I mean, it was a crazy fight.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously didn't go for very long, but in the time it was going on, it was wild. I don't know. I think it was pretty even. Listen, McGregor lost his fight. He's lost 4 of his last 5 professional fights now. So,
yep.
He's lost 6 in his career, but 4 of his last 5. Obviously not the dominant fighter he was, and I hadn't seen the interview with Poirier talking about how he thinks McGregor broke it. Because when I watched that, I've never seen a guy break their leg, planting their leg to punch someone. And that's what happened, right? Obviously. So ultimately to me, I'm like, this is disappointing. This was the 3rd matchup. It was split 1-1. Well, this is the deciding match. This is going down, and to have it end the way it did, to me, is a little underwhelming. I wanted to see someone clearly and definitively win the match, not someone just have a freak injury. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe one of his kicks broke it before, like you talked about, that Poirier mentioned. I don't know, but for his leg to give out, I didn't want to see it end like that.
No,
and
nobody does.
To be honest, this isn't good for UFC. The UFC needs star power. Conor McGregor is a huge star power. I don't know that there's anyone else that can at least, come close to what McGregor is right now. There's not a huge amount of star names. These guys are good, but they just don't have maybe the personality to lift and carry events. Most of the people there were cheering for McGregor. They're on support with McGregor, and that makes sense. He's a more popular fighter. He's more renowned, more well known, and more interesting. Listen, when he walks, he looks like, I don't know. You talk about WWE. He walks like he's Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
He just has this little and I'm like, is that really how you walk all the time? Because I don't buy it. Maybe that's why he broke his leg, because he walks weird all the time.
Maybe.
But it's a super intense, cool walk, and he's suited up, and he's he looks like a badass. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Listen, this fight could have been a lot more, in my opinion. Could have gone on, could have continued, could have been a lot of different scenarios, because it only takes one punch, and
true.
It was disappointing to see that. I mean, listen, I said on our Wednesday show, I was picking Poirier, thought he was going to win the fight, and he did. So I was right in that essence, but I didn't want to go down like that.
No, you wanted to end, and here's the thing: you want to end by a legit decision or a legit knockout to just feel good about it, and this didn't end up having that. But I will say, when it comes to Conor McGregor, he has been on the downslide, as you mentioned, and I honestly don't think he's gonna ever come back to being what he was. This is for me the point, because if you're talking about this, right, he's fought the best of the best and he's lost the last couple fights in the UFC. So you're pretty much telling me you can't compete against the top of the line, because I'm not gonna lie, this fight goes another round. Dustin Poirier was in complete control of this fight, and it didn't seem. And here's the thing: McGregor comes out fast, and he's a first round guy. He's a guy that wants to end this quick. The longer the fight goes, the more Dustin Poirier is in the advantage, because Dustin Poirier, in my opinion, can outlast Conor McGregor over the long term of these fights. If you go into the second, third, fourth round, he's going to be the better fighter overall. Now, with McGregor coming back, he's not going to get these top-tier fights anymore. He's going to be fighting guys that are in the top, 20. I mean, he's coming back off an injury. He says he wants to come back, but you're not going to get those big fights anymore. And if you can't win those fights now at your peak when you're at the strongest, and then you go in, and I just don't think he's ever going to get back to where he has ever going to, that top tier status.
I feel like he's already lost it.
Yeah,
like he's lost it.
He's lost
4 or 5 after he was. I mean, his career record. He's lost 4 or 5 after going like 20-2 to start.
True.
So, he hasn't quite been that guy anyway. But to say he's not going to get another good fight again, I don't know.
He'll get a good fight. He might get a rematch
because he's a name. He's a name, and
he's not going to get it
right
away.
Another fighter. If you want another fighter, you're another fighter, and you're like, I want to get paid and I want to make money. Like matching up with McGregor in a fight like that, he's going to make.
It's all money games. It's not going to be for accolades and best ever. It's going to be for money and for the name.
True.
In my opinion.
I would be curious, and because I'm not super involved in the fighting world, how many of those guys fight for money, and how many of those guys fight for like being the best of the best? I think I'm sure they they want both, right? But if you had to choose one over the other, listen, you're in a fighting game. I would choose the money route all day, every day.
I mean,
that's just me.
McGregor's a name.
I'd rather fight a inferior opponent that I'm gonna get paid out more on than fight a superior opponent just so I can prove myself that listen, it's all a money game, and I'm trying to live a good life later. I don't want to have, some consequences from my fighting days, CTE, things like that. Like, who knows? So if I were them, I'd go for the money.
I mean, McGregor's made a lot of money though with the Mayweather making $100 million and this and that. Like, now McGregor might. The one thing that goes into this is there's a lot of shit talking after this fight that he wants to come back to prove something, and that's something that he hasn't had in a while, in my opinion, where he's actually had something to fight for. He's just taking these fights for mostly, I feel like, the money, and he's competing and he's whatever, but he hasn't taken.
He plays
seriously.
A good theater.
Yeah, he
plays good theater.
Oh, he brings eyeballs to the TV, and this was no difference to that. Like, he did his job, and he got a lot of people to buy the fight, and it was an entertaining fight card across the board, like I mentioned. But I think from this standpoint, man, the competition, when he's not fighting and he's doing his own thing, he's doing his proper number 12, he's promoting these things, and he's off doing a little boxing exhibition and whatever, real UFC fighters are getting better, and they're fighting like every other month or every quarter or whatever, where he's only fighting once a year. The world's catching up to him. We were talking about this USA basketball. If you're not competing at the highest level and other people are, and they're starting to get better and better, they're catching up to you. And if you're only fighting once and it's an exhibition with Floyd Mayweather and this and that, other guys are getting better, and it's showing. I mean, Poirier, this was a one-sided fight, in my opinion. McGregor landed one really decent shot, and that was about it. It was ground and pound, and this fight should have ended. So let's go first circle with that first fight that we talked about that ended, that arguably should not have ended, because this kid was moving forward like Rocky Balboa into his opponent, completely awake, his face was bludgeoned. Don't get me wrong, but he was still going, and he was still fighting. They called that fight with, like, what you said, 27 seconds or whatever it is. Yep. They called this. Conor McGregor broke his ankle with 9 seconds left in the first round, and it kept going until it went to the end of the round, and they didn't stop the fight until it went, and he pointed it out after the fact. Yep. Like, it should have been the opposite. The first fight should have finished, and it should have been a decision, not a TKO. And the last fight of the night should have been called early because of the broken leg, but they let it go another like few seconds, like 10 seconds. And it was just like a complete like bookend of each other, like so weird. But I digress. It was an incredible pay-per-view, Scotty. The next couple we'll have to take a look at. And the next big one, we got some heavyweights that are going to be super entertaining. So maybe you and I get the fights on one of these Saturday nights and have a good time with it and get the family together and do it.
Yeah, we'll pay top dollar.
We'll pay top dollar. It's experience, Scotty. It's experience.
It'll be free.
But I tell you, this is one of the, like we've been talking about, this is the most fun we had watching Euro soccer. The most fun we've had watching. I mean, this was the most fun I had watching UFC in years. I mean, and I attribute it to the show a little bit because we've been watching more sports in various different sides of things because we've been, doing the show over the last few months, and it's been a lot of fun, man. I've been like opening my horizons to some things that maybe I never usually spent a lot of time on, and it's definitely been a lot of fun.
Yep.
So we're here at the end of the show, guys. Thank you guys all for being a part of it. If you're here and you're stuck with us throughout the course of the night, I'm glad you did. We love each and every one of you, whether you're here just watching, whether you're tuning in and chatting, whether you're a follower or not following. We appreciate each and every one of you. Now, we appreciate all of you, especially, and have more fun with you guys if you guys are chatting and following and all that stuff. But if you're here, that's all we care about. So thank you guys so much for being a part of the Sunday leading into a work week. We try to get you a little bit happier going into the work so you don't come into a Monday and you're just like down on everything. Like, at least we gave you some stuff to throw at your coworkers at the water cooler tomorrow, and hopefully you guys have a fantastic Monday. So hit that follow button if you're here before you head out. It doesn't cost you anything, and it means a lot to us. Otherwise, we are back here in the Action Lab on Wednesday, so make sure that you guys are hitting those notifications and turning those on so you know exactly when we pop on. And yeah, we can't wait to see you back here on Wednesday. Scotty, you'll be here on Wednesday, correct?
I'll be here on Wednesday. We'll go over the MLB All-Star festivities with the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby. We'll have Game 4 of the NBA Finals. We're creeping closer and closer to the Summer Olympics, which we haven't talked about. They're not going to have fans. That's kind of super depressing. Maybe we'll dive into that a little bit and preview some of that. And then we're getting, as I've talked about, closer and closer to the NFL season. So training camps around the corner for a lot of teams. We'll start getting some info on how everyone's better than they've ever been and everyone's in the best shape of their life in the NFL, because that's all the reports you get at training camp is that every single team and every player is better than they've ever been.
We'll touch on all that stuff, man. We're getting into a fun time of the year. A lot going on. Again, we have Olympics to bridge the gap between the NFL season, and even the NBA is going to be starting a little earlier, I believe. So, man, lot coming up. We keep hitting our best shows. We might have our next best show on Wednesday. So make sure you don't miss it, and you're following and you're with us all of the course of this next stretch of all of these sporting events. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys so much. Hope you have a great week, and we will get you through your week on Wednesday.